right. Good morning. This is Karen from PortPrep, and I'm here with George, who got accepted to Ryerson for the fall of this year in architectural science. And so congratulations, George. It's exciting.
Yeah.
So I guess, I was just so impressed by the amount of work and the creativity that you put into your portfolio and the amount that you learned in a short time. It's really amazing. And I remember it being a bit stressful for you. But I want to hear a little bit your story first of, where have you been before? What made you decide on architecture? Because I get students that are coming right out of high school and some that have been to college or university. What's your story and what made you want to get into architecture?
So after high school, I took a few years off just to work, and I did travel a fair bit, just because I was curious about the world. So I did that, and then I always wanted to do architecture when I was like as a child, but I was always scared that I would never be good enough for it. So after my travels, I went to business school at UBC for a year, and then I really didn't like it. It just wasn't me. And then I always knew business or architecture, so business didn't work out for me. And then I decided to take the next year off just to work on my portfolio and to see if, architecture school is something that I could do. And then I was working my portfolio for the year, and I was really inspired. It was like so much fun to create it. It was also stressful, but more fun than anything. I don't really remember the stress. I just remember like how good it turned out. And then I did everything I needed to do. And then I applied to 3 schools in Canada, U of T, Carleton, and Ryerson, all for architecture. And I just got accepted to Ryerson. I got declined by U of T, and I never really sent the full application to Carleton. So yeah, but I just wanted to stay to take Ryerson just because it's, in downtown Toronto, and I didn't want to move anywhere, right?
Right. Yeah, because you live downtown, so and you love Toronto, and of
Yeah,
course,
exactly.
why it's a great
Why?
school. Stay in there. Yeah. But what was kind of cool though that I thought really helped you is that you made the portfolio for Carleton,
Yeah,
um, and their creativity prompts that every year are different and so unusual. They really make you think. They're kind of philosophical in a way,
yeah,
and you made some really interesting pieces. Like it really pushed you creatively.
it really did. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea for students just to look at what Carleton has done, or what they're asking for this year, or what they've done in past years, just to get ideas going. Like you made some really cool stuff.
yeah.
So I'm going to go and do a screen share. Well, maybe you tell us a bit about what you did.
All right.
But one thing I remember you saying when we were talking another time is that part of what you thought helped you be successful in your portfolio is that you had taken a bit of time off and you traveled to
Yeah,
all different kinds of places. Um,
yeah.
so can you tell me what was it that changed your mindset? Like, what do you think influenced you that made a difference?
So because I grew up in Toronto my whole life, it was the only lifestyle that I've ever known of. And then I always dreamed of like going to Dubai or Italy or Paris and seeing all like historic architecture and very modern architecture in Dubai. So I went to visit those places, and it was completely like mind blowing. It was, you just can't believe like that people live like this, and it was really unique and really different, and totally inspired me just to study architecture, just because of how different architecture can be based on culture and influence and society in different parts of the world.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really gives you a broader understanding. And
Yeah,
so you think that changed you creatively?
I think so. It just made me think about when I was thinking about the ideas, it just made me think, okay, if I was in this situation, like if I was in Dubai, what would this kind of be like? What would
Mhm.
this kind of be like in Italy? So it really did help me creative wise for sure.
That's cool.
Just visiting all the art galleries and museums, just it was so inspiring to see all the works from different artists around the world and all the historic art as well.
Yeah, yeah. I've traveled too, and I mean, I'm just so glad I did it. What
Yeah,
an experience. Yeah, it does change your creativity, I think.
really
Okay,
does.
I'm gonna go and grab your, um, give me a second to go get your portfolio that you sent me. Come on.
Some of the files are like really weird names, so just ignore that.
Yeah, so let's see. Where was I? No. Oh, I think I'll do it here. So I don't know if they're in any particular order.
No,
This is
we're just-
probably not the order of your actual portfolio,
yeah, no,
but and that is something that
it's
we
very
should make sure people are aware that when you make a portfolio, obviously you want a range of skills and you want creative pieces and you want to show your sort of world view and societal awareness and understanding how architecture fits into that. You know, that's where some of that travel or, you know, becoming a little more worldly can help. But we also want to put things in an order that that flows well and makes sense and all of that. So that's something that you and I worked together on a bit. But let's just look through some of these pieces.
all right.
You know, you know, like this one's cool because you don't see necessarily right away the profiles of the people.
Right.
It just seems like this connection, and then you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
So I like that you played with different materials and design ideas. I'm just gonna flip through first,
Sure.
and maybe we can come back and talk about some of them. So, you know, and this is what I like about your portfolio. You show, you know, abstract art and color in a sense of design and pattern. You show us that you can draw and paint and do, you know, graphic designs and, you know, and really creative stuff like then process
Yeah.
related things, you know, that are photographed well. And oh, this is your
All your face.
cover in that you actually made your portfolio. So that's something we can look at too. You know, and you built some things and showed us that, you know, you can compile things in different ways and, you know, really compelling, interesting artworks. And oh, I love this thing. This was so cool.
Yeah, everyone loved that one.
Yeah, you know, and some perspective. Oh, and then some of these pieces you made for Carlton. So what I want to do is maybe we'll just go back to the beginning and you can tell us a little bit about some of these pieces in your process.
Yeah.
Now, when you started your portfolio, had you done art before? Like, are you an artistic person or was this a new experience for you?
Like I used to do like really like abstract paintings, but I definitely was always creative.
Uh-huh.
Before doing my portfolio, I never like went to art school, just art. I mean, art in high school.
Okay.
But during like my portfolio process, I started about 8 9 months in advance because the portfolio was due end of March, so I started well before that, probably in July of like the year prior. And closer to the date, like I went to Toronto School of Art and I took 2 classes, Introduction to Drawing and Perspective Drawing. And this is like one of the examples from perspective drawing, how it's really important for an architecture student to learn perspective, just because buildings and everything you're going to make is perspective. So it's important for me to know how to draw in perspective.
Yeah, so these are like examples from your perspective class that you took?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah, and so that was at the Toronto School of Art, right?
that's correct.
Cool. And it was at an evening class or where?
They have different times
Uh-huh.
for the classes, but yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
was
you said you
very,
took a drawing class too from them.
yeah, so the intro to drawing, it was more to look at what shapes really do look like on paper, different materials, how to analyze, if you're doing like a big picture, how to start from where like you go with the bigger shapes and then work in the details later. It just very, very good. I would definitely recommend for somebody that's looking to study architecture to get some art classes going.
So that, yeah, and that sounds like it's a really well structured drawing class.
It is
Who was your teacher? Do you remember their name?
Roberta. Roberta for both intro to drawing and perspective. And then I also did take structural drawing. That was more looking into like volumes of cylinders and cubes and how they build up with each other. And that was with Tom. All
Yeah,
that.
that's good stuff. Like all those, I highly recommend those three things if you want to learn how to draw. And then
Yeah.
I think a little bit of abstract painting or collage or something that's a little bit more creative and
Yeah, something a little
composition based or something graphic would be good. Yeah.
bit. They
So,
also did have a Photoshop and Adobe class, but it was already full. So if you have the chance to do that, definitely do that because you will use Photoshop and Adobe in
yeah. Yeah, and I hear from architecture students that, you do need to know various software, and it really makes the school experience much easier if you've
yeah,
already played a little bit with CAD and you know a little bit about Illustrator or Photoshop,
yeah,
because it's just going to make your experience easier
yeah.
in school.
Instead of learning,
So and this really helped that you'd already done that training, so that by the time you came to look for some additional help from me, you
right,
had some fundamental skills that we could then build on. So one of the things that I gave you some advice, to design something, and it doesn't have to be architecture necessarily, and you decided to design a toenail cutting chair, and then to learn how to use some of those basic skills you had to draw and render your idea.
right,
And it shows your process. So this is always nice to show the evolution, show the process,
right.
show some of the details of how you're coming up with this design and perfecting it. And it gets them to see that you're a designer, that your ingenuity, your understanding of form and how things move. Like, so I thought this was it's kind of funny, it's
Yeah,
unusual, but it's
kind of
true. I
thing.
mean, we always have this problem, don't we?
Kind of
How
well
do
done. Yeah,
we cut our nails?
yeah,
With comfort and practicality. And
yeah,
so this was neat too. And the thing that, now that I'm looking at it now, um, I I wish we had shown the context that you were thinking this would be in the shower or the bathroom, and it's
yeah.
folding
But
here.
remember, like, because this was for we wanted to include in Carleton, and that was due, I think, in February. So we really did not have much time, and I was already freaking out because I messed up the first time. You're like, don't worry, just trace it over on translucent paper and tracing paper, and then scan each thing in. It's gonna be fine. So, like, I
Yeah,
was really like hours away from submitting, and this
true.
was a lot.
So
Yeah,
true. Yeah, it was a lot of work.
yeah,
So yeah, and so that take courses, I would say, and then take what you learn and apply it to designs, apply it to ideas. So and then if you're struggling with how to draw it or how to lay it out, get some help from somebody,
yeah,
basically. And because I think you found that the rudiments help, but you still struggled with a couple of details. And so
yeah.
just having that person to show it to get a little bit of input really can help.
Right.
This was a cool piece. So this was for
This was for the
Carlton. Tell us
Carlton.
about this.
So this was for the Carlton prompt hesitant landscape. So hesitant, I was looking up synonyms and it was very like the synonyms were unknown, unsure, uncertain, um, things like that. And landscape, which is obviously just landscape. So I was walking around Toronto and then I saw just homeless people, and I was thinking about how their life is because they really do live outside in the landscape. So I wanted to show this like juxtaposition between like the dark of the city life, which is really the black and white photos I took, and then the vibrant colors of landscape, and how, you know, when you look at this picture, you see like two different things and they don't really fit together. They're just kind of mixed in, and that's kind of like the life of a person that lives on the street. And in the corner on the bottom right, there's like a person's stuff that just lives outside. So I wanted to make those squares a little bit bigger to emphasize like this is what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really love this piece and how you put it together, and the insight and it also, you know, at the same time that you're conveying an idea and showing that cultural awareness of this problem that happens in the city, and how they're always moving to a different place, and it gives you that sense of movement. And it's also showing design principles, you know, rhythm and repetition and anomaly. And so, you know, it's really great idea in your creative pieces as an architecture student to explore the different principles and elements of design and bring those into your piece. So you've got, you know, you've got line and you've got color and you've got texture, all these different elements of design and form, and you've woven it together into this really interesting piece that has a message too. You know, and so I think, you know, and if it weren't for that Carleton prompt, you probably wouldn't have
Probably wouldn't happen, yeah. So definitely look at the Carleton
you know,
prompt.
even if you don't want to go there, yeah. So, yeah, and did you find that it was easy to do or challenging?
Well, before this, I did like a little mock because I was just do like a few test drives before I actually do the final thing. And then the one before I sent you, it was like a little bit, it was way smaller, and definitely it was just 2 photos. This is like 5 photos that I took and wove together. So you liked that idea, and then you told me to make it a little bit better. So I thought this was better just to really, I edited the landscape photos I took at Hyde Park in the city, just made them like really bright, really colorful, and then made like the city photos really dark and black and white.
Yeah, so and this is a good idea, right? That to make a first pass and then look at it and say, okay, what can I do to make it stronger? I mean, that's what makes the difference of oftentimes of getting in or not getting in.
Exactly.
To not just say, I'm going to make this piece and it's done, and make this piece and it's done. You know, that'd be nice to get it done. You got to look at it and say, is this really working? How can I make it work better? How can I make it stronger? Is the idea that I want really coming across? So that's where it's nice to have somebody to talk with that understands a visual language, right? And because a lot of times your lessons, sometimes we're just talking about your ideas.
Yeah.
How to bring them out, and then looking at the result and say, okay, does that really serve your idea? It's not really necessarily, is this good, is this bad? It's just here, the evolution of an idea, and that's what design really is. It's okay, idea, and here's some different ways I could do it. Explore those, pick from one of those that really seems to work, or a couple of them, play with them, try it, look at it, evaluate it. What works about this? Let's maybe bring that out. What could I make stronger? What's not working? Let's omit that. So it's not evaluating, is this good or bad? It's just the evolution design process that making a portfolio and working with somebody that knows about these things helps you evolve that so that you are ready for school. I mean, that's what a portfolio is. It's showing not just your skill range, but are you ready to study at their school? And obviously showed, oh, he's ready. So, and here's one, you know, you show that you can draw. You show that you understand, you know, point of view, you understand value and form and texture and different materials. And so, in history, so this is good.
Like this was a photo I took in a museum in Rome, and it was just it was a museum with all of these sculptures. They had some massive ones, and I just liked this one. I thought it was cool, and just I took a photo of it, and then I just did it in soft pastel.
Nice. Yeah. And you did this on your own or in the drawing class you took?
This was on my own. This was like the second piece I made. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. And this is good because it has a lot of contrast. It has an interesting point of view, right?
Mhm.
And so that's something to keep in mind. It's got a nice composition, like all those kinds of things, so that when you're drawing something to show, I can draw in this way and that way, always have something that shows a sense of design or, like composition and an
Mhm.
awareness or an idea, something that makes it more than just, look, I have this different skill. And I think that's what your portfolio does. This is cool. Tell me about this a bit.
So this is also with soft pastel. I think it was probably the third one I made. I just wanted something more abstract and just fun and colorful. And so I was just listening to music and I was dancing as well. And I was just moving like my arms like just to the side. I was creating like these circles. And then I just made some colors go together. And then you could see like by the blue and the red, they're a little bit transparent. This one was called Dance of the Day, and then I also put like a poem in the description, and it was like a lover's dance. Me and you will sway in unison. You'll be warm and I'll be blue, and it was kind of cute. So
Oh, that's awesome. So that's a good insight too. And so I love that idea. Just making artwork to the music and how do you move and how that get,
yeah,
and because this has such a celebration of life and what an embodiment of that poem. That's amazing. Yeah, so that's a good idea.
like for the descriptions, like you don't
Yeah.
want to put a description for everything. Like if there's some pieces that you want to put a poem or like a little bit more description, then do that. But like for this one, I didn't need to put a description. I just put fairy pool. And this was when I went to Australia. I took this photo of my best friend in the fairy pool in Australia, which was so cool. This was real, and I just got inspired from that, and I just loved how the rocks were so intricate and so heavy, and I love like the water. You can't really see in the photo, but in real life, the water looks a little bit better because I used this is watercolor and colored pencil to do everything. So it really turned out.
Yeah, no, but you really captured the sparkle of water.
Yeah,
It's really nice piece, and I love the composition, the darks and
yeah.
lights, and how the rocks and the water have this sort of interesting similar texture. It's really nice piece. Yeah. Um,
So this was just like a 2D design. It's a take on a playing card, which are normally vertical, but I decided to make it horizontal just to make it a little bit different. And it is, if you divide it diagonally, it is even on both sides. So it is still has the essence of like a playing card. And
mhm.
cool design. It was the four diamond.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. This was the very last piece. Just when I was making all the things, they had a lot of scrap paper, and I really didn't want to just recycle all of it, so I decided to make paper. So I shredded all the paper I was going to recycle, put in water, and just made paper out of it. And then you also told me just to put in the tools that I made, all the things. So a paintbrush, a pencil, a ruler, and like an X-Acto knife, and it just made this cool like this cool piece. I made a few of these, and this one was the best one.
Yeah. Yeah. You made a few different colors, and so it's just about your creative process. This was the end result, all the mashing of stuff together. And I like how you photographed it with the drop shadow. That's nice.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, now this is interesting too, the fact that you made your portfolio and you have some advice. So like we're looking at your work and you're telling us a bit about it, but so as you tell us about your actual portfolio, you probably have some advice and some experience to share with students about what it took for you to make your portfolio, from expenses to process, all these things that might be some interesting tips. So when you tell us about this, can you tell us a bit about that too?
So this is the actual portfolio case that had all my work in, and I knew I didn't want to like submit a plain black zip portfolio. I really wanted something to be different and unique and stand out, because if I'm making everything in the book should be, it is the first thing they look at. So you really want it to be like, wow, I love this book. Looks cool and it looks modern and fun, and I want to look at this book. I want to see what's in here.
Yeah.
So I just got some sheets of wood from Home Depot. I got it cut to an 18 by 24. I stained it blue with just a fabric dye. So I did it in my room. There was like no odor. Coated with a semi-gloss, so it was really shiny. And got some Chicago screws and 2 hinges, cut those, and made a handle. And there's like a little fur thing that acts as like the band to hold it together. And it just turned out, I have it here as well.
Oh, cool.
So
Oh,
that's from Ryerson, but see how it like shines.
Oh, it shines gorgeous. Yeah, and you made the leather handles, and yeah. So
Cool.
you bought special inserts for this too. Maybe
Yes.
once we're done, we could have a quick flip through it off of screen share.
Yeah.
So, yeah, or maybe we should stop the screen share and you can just show us. Let's stop the screen share. Let's have a look at. I'm going to go to your view. Show us the portfolio. Can you hold it up and open it up so we can see and tell us about what you're able to do?
So it looks like
Okay. Cool.
when you open it, you just take this off, and then if you have it flat, it just opens like so.
Wait.
And the hinges are just regular door hinges, and you could get them cut to size. So one of the things I didn't include in the screen share was the pop-up. So I include the first piece I had was the pop-up.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's so cool. Like as soon as they open that, they're gonna remember you.
Yeah. So this one is called Nicole Has Got to Go, and I made origami animals. And the background is all white coral, and it's to talk about the coral bleaching, just because of coral transportation in the ocean. So it does show like my awareness of the world and what's going on, and I just made that into the first piece. But that's pretty much it.
So can
and all
you
the other
the
pieces
insert? What? How did you put the artwork in there? Can you show us the inside?
So I ordered like these plastic sheets, like for the custom size for my portfolio, and then I just got like a regular hole puncher and hole punched each hole. I measured it on the hinge, and then I hole punched them and just stuck them.
Okay, hold it up so we can see it.
I don't know if you could really see inside.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So it's the type of, oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's a type of inserts that you can buy for big portfolio case books, like binder type. You know, not the sort of prefab ones. And so it looks like you went to quite an expense.
Yeah, this was expensive because I didn't want to do it a second time for next year. So I really just put everything I had into it and just really made it as as best as I could at the time, right? So yeah, it definitely was expensive, but it was definitely worth it, because imagine getting rejected and also spending the money wouldn't work out. So
yeah,
it was expensive, just everything. Materials are expensive, you know, paintbrushes, colors, paints, pencil, crayons, papers, the wood, everything, you know.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess some of the classes you took, you probably invested a fair bit. And I don't know that that's always the case, but it's something to be perhaps prepared for.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of how much you spent?
Definitely like a few thousand for sure. Just because I did everything so fast, and I really wanted to make ideas come to life and make ideas really great. And I just wouldn't settle for something that looked like okay. I wanted to make everything as best as I could. So that's why I took more trials and more materials just to make sure.
Yeah.
that I was the results I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show the rest of your work now. I'm just going to go grab it again. Oh, my
Yeah,
computer.
definitely budgeting and time is so important for this.
So can you see your candles?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this
So,
was just like a fun thing. I had some wood and I just threw them together and decided to make like cool candle displays because they are fairly tall, and there's multiples of them. And then I just thought you could rearrange them, and then I thought, like, let's put in the portfolio. It would be kind of cool.
yeah, I like how you photographed it too. That's really effective. It's something to keep in mind if you're going to do something 3D or sculptural, like to make sure it's photographed in a good way. And this definitely is. In fact, even the backdrop feels like it's suitable
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
the
the backdrop was just
yeah,
white painting top from Dollarama.
yeah, yeah, but it really worked. Um, this was cool because it's like 3D and 2D painting all in one thing. It looks
So
like.
it's a canvas and with acrylic paint and the faces of my mom's face. I did her whole body and it just didn't work out for something else. So I just used her face and it looked pretty cool because it looks like she's either
It's a
coming into
cast.
it or trying to get out.
Yeah. So it's like an actual like face cast or something?
Actual face, yeah, like that I use with a plaster bandage.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then just
Wow.
put on.
Nice mom.
Yeah.
She did that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool. Like it really feels like it's trying to stretch and pull out. It's like some kind of vortex or something. It's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Um, I love this.
Yeah. So this, I have like a whole collection of these in my house, and this was one of the first ones I ever did. Um, I ever like painted a canvas on. It's just acrylic paint, and I was just throwing the paint on, and then I was turning it to the side, and then it just made this like vertical and horizontal effect. I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. So let's just leave it like that,
That
because it
is
looks
cool.
like going, horizontal, and the other paint is going vertical, like in the center.
Yeah, it's very cool. I mean,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a nice exploration of process and paint. It feels a little bit like it's reflections in a river of
Yeah.
rocks or something, but it's abstract. I love it. um, this is fun. What? Hey, come back. This is fun. Tell us a little bit about this. Yeah,
Uh,
so
what, what,
awesome from so many points of view.
what was the Carlton prompt for this? On drawing. So the
Undrawing, right?
drawing, and I thought like undrawing was like one of the weirdest ones I've ever heard. So let's just think of undrawing, like undoing, redoing the process, undoing that thing that is popular, undoing what is mainstream. So in one of the Ryerson PDFs, they had things to include in your portfolio was just a collection of like creative works, and then they also wanted you, if you wanted to do like fashion or stage design, jewelry design, something like different. So I thought this was different. So I just I used a senior model who's also plus size and short. She's about 5'3" and she's 63, so she would never, be in today's um, fashion world on the runway. So I decided to make a dress for her, and I used latex paint just because I don't want to use fabric. Everything is made out of fabric, so let's make clothing out of something different that you don't really see every day. So I used 4 gallons of red paint that was just poured over painting tarp, which is like the blue thing that you see. So just painted, it was just thrown over there and it was just dried for a few days. And then the texture and the painting tarp made this like really cool texture on the actual dress itself. And then I just put it on her. We made like a little rose hat that melted at the end. You could see on the last photo on the right, it was kind of dripping down because it was so hot. And the latex was just, molding down. And we took some photos in the studio and it just looked really cool.
Yeah, she rocks that dress.
Yeah.
And you said what she posted on her Instagram, and you're getting all kinds of comments.
Yeah. She posted on her Facebook, and it was like her most liked photo ever.
You become a fashion designer.
Yeah. All these designers were like, "Oh my god, that's so cool! I would never thought of that. Oh my god, that's crazy! What? That's cool. That's cool." So it was
Yeah.
really, it was good to hear.
Yeah, and so we mostly you came up with this concept mostly on your own. The only way I kind of helped you is how to present it and help with the fashion drawing. You
Yeah.
know,
The
yeah.
fashion was probably the hardest one, hardest part in all this.
Yeah.
But I want to show something like of process, right? From sketch to
Yeah,
final.
that's a good idea. Like some, because you want to show them how you think that, because design is about a process, right?
Yeah.
So, and this shows the process in a really creative layout way. Like I love that you have that piece of fabric
Yeah.
laid underneath the photos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just a nice painting. Like you show you understand how to paint and how to draw. Um, and she's got an expression which is nice too. And there's that for the perspective drawing, showing awareness of that. And like ideally you want to show maybe some drawings in perspective that also show ideas, or that are a street scene or something, but at least you're showing us your awareness. and,
Exactly.
and that was because and a lot of it was you didn't have a lot of time. What am I going to do? How am I going to present this? So we kind of looked through what were some of the stronger ones, and then I think you scanned them and laid them out together so they look nice and clean. So
Yeah.
there's a bit of work involved in putting it together, but it at least shows an awareness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you had more time, you might have done some more with it, but
Yeah. For sure.
you
It was
know,
just,
this was cool. So tell
mhm.
us a little bit about this.
So this was for Carlton, for the prompt urban rhythms. And urban rhythms, you just think about like city and how the city is. That's what I think when I think about urban rhythms, how the city interacts and how the people interact with each other. So I live, because UBC is in Vancouver, so I lived there for a year, and it did rain a lot. And then when it rained, people don't really want to go outside if they forget their umbrella, or like it's raining too much, they just don't want to go out. So I thought, okay, how can we like fix this problem? Because you also said find some problem and make a design solution for it.
Yeah.
So this was my design solution. So it's a flexible silicon photovoltaic cells that acts as the canopy. So it's clear, which doesn't block any sunlight. And it generates energy because it absorbs the sun's UV rays. And the energy can obviously be used for powering the buildings and businesses and everything. And because they're all individual panels, they can be cut to size. So, it fits nature. And because of the way it's formed, like this very wavy pattern, it's actually designed to go to droop down at the lowest peak by the street lights, so the rain can be captured. It can be used for other things such as like wastewater for toilets and sinks. And at the highest peak, that's how the rain just droops down to the street pools.
Very cool.
And
And
obviously protects people from the rain, so they can continue to be shopping. That's why I added these little paper people with their shopping bags, and
yeah,
everybody be shopping and be happy even on a rainy day.
this is great. And what I like about what you did, like, because at first you were like, oh, maybe I'm gonna try to do a concept sketch, and you had photographs to base it on, and this is not the easiest thing to figure out how to draw.
Yeah,
And so I love that you made it this playful, colorful, model.
yeah,
And where you're showing the idea really well. You've laid it out where we really understand what it is. You've got a good graphic presentation where you explain it and tell us the highlights of this. But at the same time, you're showing that you can build. You're showing a graphic sense, a color sense, So you're really showing a lot of different design abilities, and it's just the most fun looking thing.
Yeah.
It looks like it's made out of black foam core and
Just foam core. And
paper.
then I just used, colored construction paper and some glue sticks. That's pretty much it. But it was a little bit tedious because everything had to be cut perfectly. Like just the big windows and all the windows and the doors, what size to make it and what size to make the people and how big should this be and how big should the silicon be and all these things you have to consider, right?
Yeah, it was a lot. And I love how, we looked at different ways it could be done. You found a way that worked for you and you just rocked it. I love
Yeah.
it. So that's really great. Now, there was one more piece.
Oh, this one, I think this one was probably the weakest one. I think it still is. It was for Where I Belong for the Carlton prom. And I just want to show like the body and the soul are two different things. And when they come together, that is you. So that is technically where I belong is you. I just want to show like the body and the soul coming together. I don't know if it really worked out, but I guess it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like its concept, and so let's see. But yeah, I think you're right. It's not as well worked out as some of the others. But
Yeah,
hey,
but it's done now.
you're
I
exploring
liked
lots
it.
of things. So I guess thanks for showing us your pieces. This is so great. Just to close up, what advice would you have for a student that's applying from what you learned?
I would definitely start as early as you can, get experience in drawing and painting and building. Look at the world differently, watch videos, visit art galleries, museums, travel if you can. Take some time if you want to travel and just experience life. It's definitely like it helped me the most for sure. It just makes your work more diverse and ask for help. Go to Karen. She's honestly incredible. Like to because you need somebody that knows what they're talking about to help you in this. And you've just helped so many students with their portfolios for any kind. And I was able to speak my ideas with you, and you would tell me like, this is good, this is bad, this could be better. So having you was so helpful. Going to Toronto School of Art or like any art school would definitely help you just to learn foundations and fundamentals, and just surround yourself around people that are going to help and support you and motivate you, and distance yourself from people that do the opposite of that. So it's not impossible to do. It's very doable. You just need to be motivated and really have fun, because if you're stressing too much, you can't really get ideas. Like so many of my ideas have failed, like ones that I thought would really be successful, they were just so bad. So if it's a bad idea and you know it is, just forget about it. Don't try to make it work. It's a bad idea. Just move to the next thing and it will happen, right?
Yeah. So, um, let's see. Just trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, how much did you work on it? Like, what were your days like? Like, how long did this take you? I know you told us months, but how many hours would you put in every day?
Well, in the beginning, from when I started like about 9 months ago, from March, so I started like in July, and it was like I would work maybe like 2 days a week, not much, because I also was working at the time to save money for it, because I knew it was going to be expensive, because I knew I had big, expensive, crazy ideas. Um, and then during closer to the date, I had to stop working because um, ideas were getting more serious and it was coming closer to the deadline. So I really wanted to focus all my time on it and just to make sure that it's amazing and really good. And yeah, it just took a long time. Like I was up at 7 a.m. and didn't go to bed at 1 a until 1 a.m. I do remember actually that I could not eat sometimes. I just had smoothies because I was a little bit too stressed. Um, but it really worked out at the end. Like if you put in hard work and your time and you really give it your best, you're gonna get good results, right?
Yeah. So you were working every day, all day, and you quit your job for, and were working just on this for about how long?
For probably like a good serious month.
Wow.
But
Okay,
yeah,
so it's a real commitment that to make a portfolio, and that's why I sometimes suggest. Now there are people that do it in their senior year, and they're working on their finals, and they're got to keep a high average too, and and they do it and they get accepted, but it's that's all you're doing is school and your portfolio, and
right.
then some people have a job too. It is a lot of commitment, and you decided instead, I'm just going to take a year and do this. And I've heard lots of people do that. And I
Yeah,
think that the people that do that, I think you can do it where you're making a higher level of work, and you're um, feeling, I think it feels a little less stressful, even though I know you were stressed at the end. Um, it gives you a little more time, but both will work. And I think it depends on an individual.
yeah,
And I think part of your message is um, keep a positive attitude, keep positive people around you, and get the help from the right kinds of sources.
exactly.
And you picked some really good classes at the Toronto School of Art, and then finding somebody like me, a mentor who knows about the area you're applying for, to give you that input. Because we had lessons, for sure once a week, sometimes twice a week.
Yeah,
And occasionally you'd come for a studio day in person, but most of it was online.
yeah.
And just
I think we
answering
only met one
specific
time at the
questions,
end.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, how important do you think that the input from me was for you?
Probably like the most important. Just you gave me like the confidence to know like if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm not doing the right thing. Because when I would ask my family, they would be like, I don't know, like I guess it's good. But like I needed like a real like professional advice and critique, and you were that for me.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I could help. You were so much fun to work with. Like, I'm so happy that you got in. I was really hoping for you.
Yeah.
I would have been shocked if you didn't. Um, but George is going to come and participate in our architecture summer camp. So he's going to come and help the students on our portfolio day, and he's going to show his portfolio. And on that day, you're going to tell us about how you prepared for the drawing test at Ryerson and the creativity test. And do
Yeah.
you still have the creativity test that you can take with you?
They kept that, but I have the
Oh,
photos. I
but you
have
have
photos.
some pictures. Okay,
I
so we'll talk about that on the portfolio day. I think it's Saturday, July 10th.
August 17th.
No, August 17th?
Yeah.
August 17th, yes,
Yeah.
in the afternoon. We're having a portfolio day, but you're going to be there in the morning too to help out the students kind of finishing up some of their pieces. So if you want some help from a student that recently got accepted, and then you can get some inside look, what are those tests like? We're going to hear from George then.
Yeah.
So we did it again. We spent an hour sharing about your portfolio. I mean, it was a big part of your life for almost a year. So, well, congratulations, George. Thanks for your time. I super appreciate it. It's always inspiring for students to see what other students have done.
I know. I'm so excited to work with the students on the Saturday. I'm so excited to see what they did, because you can't really see what other students put in, because you don't ask like, oh, what did you put? Can I see your portfolio? Like, and I say no, right? So I'm excited to see what everybody's ideas were for it.
That will be good. Well, so thanks so much. Well, I hope you have
Thanks.
a great day.
You too. Bye bye.
All right, bye.